Hello and welcome to Chat Club. I'm your host Alan Hilchey, and there's only one rule in Chat Club, and that is everybody talks about Chat Club. In today's episode, we're going to be episode 8. We're going to talk about ways of how to help yourself with grief. Not only that, just maybe helping a loved one. Last episode I talked about grief and the physical symptoms, the emotional symptoms, the physical symptoms. I talked about a lot of symptoms that you feel when you have grief. So this one here, I'm going to look at more of how to take care of yourself with grief, or maybe to help a loved one or a friend. I have some ways and some different way of looking at things. So the biggest thing is when you're grieving, it's important than ever to take care of yourself. The loss and the stress of losing somebody or something can deplete your energy, your emotional reserves, and looking after your physical and emotional needs. You also will need help through this difficult time. So the biggest thing is to face your feelings. You can suppress your grief and you can avoid your grief forever. In order to heal it, you have to acknowledge the pain. You try to avoid feelings of sadness or loss, only prolonging the grieving process when you start doing this. Unresolved grief can also lead to complications such as depression, anxiety, sometimes substance abuse, either alcohol or drugs you lead into. And this can lead to serious health problems down the road. So make sure that you face your feelings. Another one is express your feelings in a tangible or a creative way. Writing about your loss in a journal is a good way, or poetry, or just writing the good things about the person and why you miss them. This is a big thing. Another thing is if you lost a loved one, writing a letter saying things that you'd never got to say to them can be a good thing. I mean, you don't have to address it or anything, but you can start with a letter, and you can make it a process where you write a little bit, and then, or you can write different letters every day and be like, hey, something happened today, it was great, or, sitting there and hi, how you doing today? I really miss you. This is what I did. Johnny's growing up to be such a good guy. You had such an impact on people. Just different stuff like that. Just be creative. Basically what I'm trying to get at. Another one is make a scrapbook or an album celebrating, the person's life, or getting involved in an organization that was important to your loved one. Now, when you come back, what I said about the scrapbook or a photo album, I know for one Christmas with my father, and my parents, we did, my brother created a big wall, a wooden album that you could hang on the wall. And it started with, my parents getting married, and started, their young pictures, getting to my brothers being born, and eventually come to me, and then would have his grandchildren and stuff like that. You'd have a lot of different things. I know in my celebration of my father's life, my son made an unreal video and put a lot of the favorite songs that my father liked, and it was very sad because everybody that saw it made them upset because, seeing him, when he was a kid, and then eventually growing up to the man he was, and family, and then being a grandparent, and there was a lot of different things. He had his family in it and different things like that. So, that's something you can do too. You can create a video, and, when you're feeling lonesome or sad, or, you need to relive some things, you have a video, you snap it on, you're obviously going to grieve, you're going to be upset, you're going to cry, but that might help with your emotions. It might help, to set in the denial and the different things. So, that's something that you can do. Sometimes it's not easy. There's lots of people that can make videos for you if that's what you're looking at. And, it can help. I know it helped me because I watched it a few more times, and every once in a while I'll click it on because I saved it. It's something I'll never, ever get rid of because, it shows the life of my father and what he, how he grew into the man he was, and the family that he has, and the brothers and sisters, and just different things. Such an impactful video on myself, and I know it's impactful on my son because he's the one that made it. So he's a very, very creative person. So I appreciate that he did that, and it was unreal that he did that because everyone was talking about it. Try to maintain your hobbies and your interests. Now these are there's comfort in daily routine stuff and getting back the activities that bring you joy and connecting closer to others that can help you come to terms with your loss and aid in the grieving process. So don't stop what you're doing. Try to go through your daily routine. Okay, you don't do it today, but tomorrow start a new day. Like, it's no different than going to the gym. It's so hard to do that. And I'm kind of correlating to both because it's very hard to do both in my mind. So if you don't do it today, do it tomorrow. Okay, you had a bad day today. Okay, we're going to do it tomorrow. So try to do small, measurable goals. Try to get yourself back in the routine because you need to get back to life because your loved one wouldn't want you to sit there and grieve all that time. They want you to get on with your life. They want you to be successful. They want you to, endure all the good things that are out there. And the person wants to be there, there's no question, but it's just the way life is. And you have to think past this grief and you have to think about the future. They can be a part of it. Like I said in my previous podcast about my father and how I sit around with my family and we talk about stories and relive all those memories, and you can do that. It's not easy, but once you get in that carefree mood when you're talking with your family or a person, just remembering things, it helps with the grief because you don't forget. These, you're thinking about the happy memories, not how the person passed away, and you think about when they were here and how good they were, and you think about all the good things, and then I really think that. So when I get into another one, I said this one here, don't let anyone tell you how you feel, and don't tell yourself how you feel either, because you can't tell yourself that you feel great or today's going to be a great day. It's in accordance to how your body reacts emotionally, physically. So you have to, your grief is your own, and no one else can tell you when it's time to move on or get over it. So let yourself feel whatever you feel without feeling embarrassed or, judged. Judgment upon yourself. You don't want to be someone judging you. And it's okay to be angry, and it's okay to yell at the heavens or cry, or, it's okay to laugh. It's okay to find moments of joy, like I said before. And when you let it go, when you're ready, you let everything go, and you'll be better when you're ready. So you got to get yourself to that point. There's little things and processes that you can do to help you get to the end. So another thing is plan for the grief triggers. And triggers, I'm talking about things that represent, things that remember. So like anniversaries, holidays, milestones, that can reawake memories and feelings of sadness. So be prepared for the emotional, roller coaster. As I said before, the roller coaster. When you're sharing a holiday or a life cycle event, you have to make sure that you're ready for it, because, facing this sort of stuff is like a roller coaster. So make sure you're facing, face to face, and accept the assistance that's being offered. Often people don't want the help, but don't know how to get the help. So, you can't tell people what they need or anything like that. So, that's the biggest thing. Another one is accept that many people feel awkward when they're trying to comfort someone who's grieving. It's probably the most awkward thing when you come up to someone and you say, well, I'm sorry for your loss. You see a lot of that stuff on Facebook where people put condolences to you and your family or, whatnot. But when you get face to face, it's really awkward and people don't know what to say. And don't ever take anybody because they're awkward that they don't care or they don't, they just feel very awkward because a loss is a very awkward thing for a lot of people, and it's not a common thing. It's not an everyday occurrence, this sort of loss and grieving and losing a loved one or even a pet or something that's dear to you. So, grief can be a confusing time and sometimes a frustrating emotion with many people, especially if they haven't experienced a similar loss themselves. They may feel unsure in how to comfort someone or end up saying something or doing something that, they may do something that's wrong or say something. So don't take them as being ignorant or don't care. People are awkward in how they perceive, like if they've never had if they've never had a loved one loss or dealt with grieving themselves. Sometimes people don't know how to say the right things, and it's not that they don't want to say the right things, just that they've never experienced it. So don't use that as an excuse to retreat into your shell, avoid the social contact. If a friend or a loved one reaches out to you, it's because they care. They care about you, and don't retreat and don't be social. So make sure that you accept, people saying stuff, and sometimes don't take it personal what they say. If they're being like awkward or whatnot, they're not trying to get your goat or anything like that. Sometimes some people just don't have the correct words or the right terminology to express their sorrow, and it's just in how we interpret things. So try not to take things too personal if they're awkward. Make sure, that sort of thing. Another one is draw comfort from your faith. If you follow a religious tradition, embrace its comfort in its mourning rituals, and it can provide spirituality. Spiritual activities that are meaningful to you, such as praying, meditating, or going to church, can offer a lot of solace and peace and stuff like that. If you're questioning your faith or in the wake of a loss, there's all kinds of different resources in the religious organizations. I know I'm Catholic, and I have a priest if I need to talk to someone, and they've dealt with grief their whole entire career, the priest, so they have a lot of experience and have seen a lot of different grieving processes, and they've seen a lot of different things. Not saying that yours is going to be the same as everyone else. Yours is going to be different because it's individualized. There's attachment towards you, that you have. I get that. But make sure that a lot of the religious organizations have, priests, pastors, reverends that do have training or do a lot of educational stuff to get themselves prepared to help their congregation or members. They're trained in this because they need to understand grief themselves and how to help out their members or congregation or whatever ways. So the biggest thing is they're there to help, and they want to help because they want to keep you as a member, because that's the part of their community and their organization, to keep everybody in the congregation. But it's not more of that. It's more of you're a part of a family, part of an organization, and they want to keep you because it's a family feeling that a lot of the religious factions have, because that's what keeps their churches going, or whatever organizations, whatever buildings, or whatever. That's what keeps them going. They have to have that community feeling. So if you're feeling that the grief is taking you, there's these resources that a lot of people don't think about, or they feel awkward themselves. So don't feel awkward if you want to talk to a priest or a pastor or a reverend, because in essence, this is what they're here for. They're here for spirituality. They're here to, to recognize your feelings, to understand, because everybody questions their religion. Everyone questions their spirituality at one time in their life, or many times, because that's what it is. It's the unknown factor. So make sure that you take all the resources that you can get to help yourself through this hard hump or complicated grief or whatever you're feeling, because it's how you're feeling, not how I'm feeling, or your mother, your father, or whomever, your child, or whatever. This is your feeling. So make sure that you take care of yourself. So when I say this, talk to the clergy member or whatever religious person that's in your community. They're accessible, and they'll definitely take the time and to listen. And it may take 2 or 3 or 4 times, or maybe it'll take one session, whatever. They're there for that, and that's all free. That's free. You don't have to pay for it because you're part of that family organization. So make sure that you take notice and investigate it for sure. Join a support group. Grief can feel very lonely, even when loved ones are around, or even if your family's around. These support groups are very essential in the community. Sharing your story with others that have experienced similar losses can help and be comforting to yourself to know that you're not alone. To find a bereavement group in your support area, contact local hospitals, hospice, funeral homes, counseling centers, or just look at the resource sections on the internet. There's all kinds of stuff. There could be stuff on Facebook, like different groups, support groups. I know there's various ones that put it on Facebook now, and just make sure, because here's the thing that I look at these support groups, and I've been in Wings of Change, and the biggest thing about these support groups is they don't judge, they validate your feelings, they listen to you, and sometimes when you're sitting in these groups, you might be able to pull some things from other people that might help you, or you can try. That may not be successful, but at least you're trying, and you're trying to help yourself, get over the grief and to have back to your normal routine. And that's essentially what you're trying to do to get through the process. Not that you're trying to forget the person, because you'll never forget the person, but to find a way to be at peace and to live your life in a happier fashion is essentially what we're trying to get towards. So another one that I have here is talking to a therapist or a grief counselor. If your grief feels like you're getting too much to bear, find a mental health professional with experience in grief counseling. An experienced therapist can help you work through the intense emotions and overcome your obstacles to your grieving. So they have a lot of different things. They're specialized in it. So if you get to the point where it's not helping, I know if you're in the provincial government where I am, we have the E-8, and check with the resources that you have at your workplace, whether it's federal, provincial, and even check it if you're a company, because there may be something there to help you out, some free counseling that they offer their employees. So make sure you take the time to research all this. So another one I have is using social media for grief support. I know a lot of people put memorial pages on Facebook or on other social media sites, and it's become very popular and worldwide to inform loved ones passing or to reach out for some support, as well as allowing for impartial practical information such as funeral planning. These pages allow friends and loved ones to post their own tributes or condolences, which is very nice. Reading messages can also support yourself and comfort yourself in these hard times. I know when my father passed away, we went through a funeral home, and there was a site, and it was social, and people could put in their condolences, and we had hundreds of cards, and it was to different people in the family, whether it was my brother or me or my mom or my not my dad passed away, but for my mother, for sake, to hear those sort of things, people written words, it helped with the grief, to go through and, okay, this is my brother's, this is my other brother, this is my mom, this is mine, this is, and it was nice messages. I had messages from, my family, from friends, work colleagues, very supportive people, that recognize the grief, and they recognize. I mean, I had one from one of my bosses that hit me pretty good. Like, it was really nice that they took the time out of their day. I know it's all human, but you always think that your bosses or your hierarchies, doesn't have the time. But in actuality, they do. But when they actually do it and you see the results of it, it helped with my grief. It absolutely did. So if anybody is out there that is an employer that has the ability to do that, please do it, because to show a sense of empathy and compassion towards someone else also helps at the workplace. So if you're an employee, a coworker, and an employer, sending these messages to people is very helpful with their grief, to recognize that you think that their grief, that you're validating their grieving process, essentially. So if you can do something to help someone, I say do it. As awkward as it is sometimes, do it, because it's the right thing to do. And you need to support other people, because that's what we should be doing. Because I'm a firm believer in karma, and karma is one of the things that, if I do something good for someone today, that I don't do it to look for something in the future that's positive. If I just do it because I care and do it because I want to help someone, somewhere's down the road, I believe myself, something good is going to happen to me. May not be what you think, but if you really look at the things that happen, sometimes it's really neat when you sit back and say, for instance, I bought somebody a coffee, and they were very appreciative. They didn't know about it. It's kind of like paving it forward sort of thing. Then somewhere down the road, somebody gave me a coffee. So all the positive vibes and everything eventually turns out to be some positive things to you if you look hard enough. So, but I mean, of course, posting sensitive content on social media definitely has its risks, because there's some people that are, could say some negative things or post, inappropriate stuff. I mean, that's going to happen, but I mean, you're going to have internet trolls, but in a lot of cases, people don't do that. There has been some, well publicized cases of strangers posting cruel messages or abusive messages on memorial pages. Be aware of that, and don't take it personal. Like I said, but to gain some protection, you could opt on creating a closed Facebook group rather than a public one, which means some people have to be appropriate, and the members group can access, and you can put out invites to this. You can create your own page. Remember, it's important to remember while on social media, it's a really useful tool to reach to others. So it can really, it doesn't, it's on social media. So the thing is it's not face to face. So, but it can help, because it did help me. So I mean, you can make a closed Facebook page and invite all your friends, and they can invite their friends if so choose. But you have access to the administration page, which means that you have. And if you don't know how to do that, there's lots of people out there that can help you. And if you want to have that memorial page set up for your loved one, whether it's your father, your mother, your wife, your sister, your brother, whomever, grandfather, grandmother, you can do these pages, and you can put lots of different stuff on there. You can put pages, you can put little videos on there. I mean, creativity is the number one thing, and if it helps you get through the process, hey, do it, embrace it, enjoy it as much as you can. And I know there's going to be sadness with it, but make sure that you can do this, and it's not hard, because I've done it with my chat club webpage that I have on Facebook. I have it there, and I encourage everyone to join it, because I love to have comments and expressions of interest. Say that you throw a subject right there that I should talk about, and I'll do it. Absolutely. This channel's for me to help me get through stuff, but it's also to help reach out and help out millions of people across the world that have mental issues or dealing with some certain thing in their life. Hey, one thing that you're dealing with, there's millions of other people that deal with the same thing, and grief is one of the most interesting ones, because it hits everybody in every different way. So I mean, that's the biggest thing. So now that's how to take care of yourself. These are some helpful tools to help yourself. So here, I'm going to turn it around and do a different way, and I'm going to have helpful hints, and here's some positive ways to help or support a friend or a loved one who is grieving. So there's some other things. When you're dealing with someone that's going through the grieving process, as a friend or a loved one, the biggest thing is to be reassuring and sympathetic company and a very good listener. Listening without judgment or resisting the urge to try to fix it or try to say something to let them vent, because essentially that's what you're there to do. You're that human face-to-face contact that you're sitting there and you're venting. You're venting what, how you're sad and everything. And if they ask for, what do you think about this, then answer. But don't try to validate what they're feeling. Absolutely. Validate everything that they're feeling, because it's what they're feeling. But don't try to say, well, maybe you feel like this because of this. Don't start judging, because when you start judging, then they're going to close themselves off. Then they're not going to trust you, because essentially when they're coming to you, they're trusting you. So make sure that you're very sympathetic. Be a good listener, and reassure them that you're here to listen and to help them. So you need to offer specific support, saying something. If there's anything I can do, let me know. Is always done with the best intention, but puts the responsibility on the grieving person to reach out for help. Instead, I'm going to drop by tomorrow with some groceries. I'm going to call in a few days. We'll catch a movie. How about going for a walk tomorrow? This can be more effective ways, because you're signifying specific plans to help or connect with someone. Don't leave it to the person. I'll be there. I'm here if you want to talk. Drop by randomly. Say, hey, I was going out for coffee. Do you want to come? So you're getting that face to face, and you're helping them get out of the, whether the funk or the immersed grieving. So I mean, sometimes you're re-triggering their brain for something different. So maybe they forget about the grieving for a little bit, and maybe it helps them do the other stuff. Is doing new stuff like going for a walk, or hey, I'm gonna catch a movie tomorrow night. Do you want to come? So you're putting a yes/no response into them, and say, oh man, I really want, I really don't want to go by myself. I'd really like if you come with me, and then you're validating that they're important to you too. So there's that connection. So just make sure that you offer specific support. I mean, okay, I'm going to drop by tomorrow, maybe I'm going to go for coffee, maybe you want to come. Try to do stuff with them. And that's just being a good friend. And sometimes when you're in the car going to the movie, they're going to vent there. That's okay, but that's what you're there for. Because essentially, if the role reversal, you would hope that they would do that for you. So, I mean, every good turn deserves another, essentially. Saying God has a plan or time heals. When someone's experiencing significant loss, sometimes that's not very helpful because you're telling them what to do. If they ask for that, that's different. So experiencing significant loss, is different in everyone's eyes. It might be said to be with good intentions, but it also makes someone feel that their feelings aren't being validated when you say God has a plan or time heals all wounds. Just try to stay away from phrases from that. Don't try to tell them what they should be feeling, because then they're not going to feel validated, or they're just going to feel, feel like you're not listening to them. And it's okay to feel angry or sad when they lose someone or something significant. Having their feelings validated is important because it shows that they're important and what they're feeling is valid to them. Like I said, everybody grieves differently, so you have to watch out by not saying certain specific phrases. Discouraging expressions of grief or shutting off discussions about the person who died is not helpful, because these are a part of the healing process for a lot of people. Don't worry about talking about the loss. It isn't going to remind them, because the loss is likely not far from their thoughts anyway. So sharing stories about one person who died or the times in the past before they get actually lost, it can actually be very comforting and can be somewhat helpful for somebody moving forward. So when I reverted back to the time that I was in the last episode, I talked about when I saw my dad the last time, and my brothers were there, and my step-niece, which I love very dearly. Very much so, we sat there as a group because I never saw my father. I didn't have the last time I seen him, because the last time I seen him was 2 weeks ago. And I felt guilt for not seeing him within 2 weeks. But here's the thing, now that I know that, life, we all have different life values and different life experiences, and we have to go on with our life, and we don't have a time limit on when we pass away in this world. And I understand that my father passed away 2 weeks later. It wouldn't have mattered if I seen him in those 2 weeks. What mattered is that I know he loved me, that I know that he cared about me, and I know that I loved him and he knew I loved him, and God bless him and his sisters, because his sisters used to come to me all the time and say how proud my father was of me and my brothers and where we are, and he always talked about me. So again, reliving all those memories, like stories or listening to old friends that he hung around with saying how proud they were of you and where you are in your life, that helps with the comforting feeling of the grieving process, to know how they felt about you before they passed away. So powerful, so embracing for me, I know that. So, I mean, when I look at that, I didn't see him in 2 weeks and he passed away, just bang like that. When I heard the news, I was like, oh, wow. It hit me like a ton of bricks, because I'm like, and the first thing in my mind was, I gotta go see Mom. So instantly my grief turned to helping someone else, which in turn didn't help my grieving process at the time. But like I said, I think I grieved 25 years ago when my father was in, when he had his first massive heart attack. So, and I seen him hooked up. I did a lot of grieving then. So maybe that was, or maybe I'm okay with it. Like I said, everybody grieves in so many different ways. Now, losing my point here. The point is, when you can rehash good memories, stories, regardless, they may cry, and then they turn around and they laugh, and then they may cry, and they may turn around and laugh. That's okay. That's okay, because they're sad that they're gone, but they're laughing because of the story, because they remember the story. Stories are so embracing and so powerful, unreal. So getting back to when I was sitting there with my brothers, and we were sitting there with my father, and they had him just a sheet over him, and he was there. Well, it was powerful because it gave me sort of a sense of ending, but we just sat around for a good hour, just laughing, and it was almost like he was in the room with us. I felt that. I felt the spirit or spirituality, and I'm not sure if it was because I was feeling it or it was there. But regardless, I like to think that he was there. And I'd like to think that telling the stories in the sense of comfort and the sense of getting through the grieving process, I would like to think he was there. And I like to think every time that I'm thinking about him, he's there. Now I'm getting a little emotional here. And that's okay. I'll keep it together, though. I'll very much try. But see, here we are. My father's been passed away for 3 months. Still emotional with me. Still part of the grieving process. Do I get along? Do I get through my life? Do I go to work? Yes. Has it crippled me? No. But it's still there, like I said. And it's going to be there the rest of my life. But I think of all the good memories. I think of how powerful those memories are. Because the powerful memories going through Christmases, all those good things, all those happy memories, all the times that you laugh. I know there's a story when every time I'd go to where my father lived, my brother doesn't live far away, so I'd call him up. We'd all go to the coffee shop that we go to, and we'd come out and we'd get out of the vehicle and I'd drive and I'd look at my dad, and we always talked about he doesn't like Fords, never did, never will, ever. It's funny because every time I get out, my brother got a new Ford truck, so we go on about the military grade. So that's a story that sticks out in my mind all the time, because even when he had a stroke, he couldn't, communicate a lot. He would laugh, and my father was such good humor, very quiet man, but his humor was so like he was genuine, and you could feel it when he laughed. It was funny, and he was such a vital part of my life, more than I even knew. And that's essentially what happens, is you start to think about the impact of the one that you lost. And that's okay. So getting back, and that's just a little bit of my experience. I'm sorry I'm getting off track. Reassuring someone that their feelings are normal and they're valid. And it's just normal, very supportive thing to do, to validate their feelings. And don't be judgmental. Because because they aren't thinking or feeling or behaving in the same way that you would. They need to know that you're there for them. They need to know to feel and express themselves in their own way. And that's a vital part of grieving, is expressing in their own way. So another thing is, grieving is often often bigger than the loss. For instance, if someone loses a parent, there might be other stresses felt around this financial support or family roles or security. And with my mother, she would have to live by herself. That's my example to this. And then we're scrambling what's going to happen with mom. And my mom was worried about being by herself because she didn't want to be by herself, and no one wants to be by themselves. So I had to think about where I was in my career, where I was, because I lived 2 hours away. My brother lived in Oromocto. So when this all come to terms, when my brother said, I'm going to move in with mom, kind of took a sense of relief. And not because I didn't want to go, but I had a son that was in school. My career was here. How was it going to impact? I got 4 days on, 4 days off, and a lot of different things come to my head. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, what am I going to do? But my brother stepped up to the plate. God love him for doing it. And, it made my life a little easier. But don't forget, I am going to take my time where my mom's going to come to my house. And eventually I might move back in that area. And those are things that I'm planning for in the future, because I want to be closer to my mom. So, keep including your friend in your life and social activities. Don't always assume they want to be alone or with family because they're grieving. Invite them out to dinner or coffee for a walk, like I said. They may say no, but they probably will appreciate the gesture and know that you're thinking about them, which is very comforting, a part of the grieving process. Maybe they're not ready, but you know what? If you keep asking and keep including them, eventually they will go, because the grief will get a lot lesser and lesser, and then they'll want to do stuff. So if you feel like your friend needs the extra support, that the grief is prolonged or intense or interfering with their life, try to connect with some services in your area. Try to be helpful with them. Try to find different things for them, like find the support groups. If they're not actively looking, go look on Facebook and do your due diligence to make sure that the groups are there. And of course, don't force it on them. Just bring it to their attention. Maybe go to maybe you'll have to be that friend that goes to the grieving group with them, so they can get the confidence and the courage to go. That's okay. I mean, these are things that we do for our friends because we care about them. So, and you hope that you doing this in return, they're going to remember if you're down the road, and if it happens to you, then hopefully that they're going to be there for you, or a friend will be. The biggest thing is to stay very calm and don't take things personally. Sometimes grief can affect in how people react and communicate. It's confusing, distressful, and can be even hurtful at times. They may say something to you that's hurtful, or how the hell do you know about this, or whatever. But don't take it personal. Please don't take it personal, because essentially they're just letting their feelings out, and they may feel overwhelmed and act out, and it's probably not even about you. It's just because you're the person that they can take the anger out on or say things, but eventually they're going to turn around and, oh my gosh, it's kind of a bit of an idiot there. I really apologize for how I acted. So try not to focus on what they're saying to you or personal. Just focus on them getting their feelings out, because that's the ultimate thing, is to let them feel their feelings. And sometimes it's very hard because they say some pretty nasty stuff, but that's okay. You have to recognize that they're just lashing out. Some people need the time to themselves, while others need to spend time with people. Be supportive and try to resist the temptation of telling them how they think. You need to be around more people. That's up to them to know, and make sure that when you're doing this, get some boundaries for yourself and take care of yourself. You can't help someone feel if they're not, if you're feeling overwhelmed yourself. So make sure that take time for yourself and don't dedicate your 100% time with them. They have to understand there is boundaries within your friendship, or there's only so much you can take, and not that you're trying to take, but you don't want to drag yourself down, because you want to help, you want to be there, but make sure that you take care of yourself during this process. So when we get into this, I'm going to leave something to. There's a few things here. There's lots of websites, a lot of information on grieving and how to help people. These are just some that I browsed on that I felt that are pretty good. Just make sure that if you're on a loved one and you want, loved one or a friend or something, stay supportive, be non-judgmental. Make sure that you take the time to understand and validate their feelings. Because when you take time and you're not rushed, they feel comfortable. There's a lot of trust in this, because that's their feelings. That's their interpersonal feelings. And when they open up to somebody, they're trusting you with their whole. It's a very trustworthy. You're the person they're going to. That should say something about you and how impactful you are in their life, and they'll never forget that, because friendship is so deep. Or aunt and uncle, or whomever that you are the person for. Just make sure that you're solid with them. Don't be judgmental. Don't try to tell them how they feel, or don't try to force them into something that they're maybe not be ready, because you lose that trust, then you lose that support system for them. And it's important to be that support system. So there's another few things that I know that people, they do tattoos, memorial tattoo. I know a lot of people do that when their parents pass away, or their kids or whatever. That's kind of cool, I think. And it could be the tattoo art could be a way of, always having them there and always, representing that, you haven't forgotten them. Not that you ever will, but it's kind of comforting. I know a lot of people do tattoos, or they do memorial pages, or they do something in their home to remember the person. Sometimes they do it on their graves. They really decorate it up and put different flowers, and it's a part of the grieving process. So just make sure that you're there with your person, and drive them places if they need to be. Be there for them, because you're what they need at this time, and they're putting a lot of trust in you as a person. So don't take it lightly. Don't try to overwhelm yourself with this, but make sure that you're there for the person. So this is the end of my session here, or end of my episode, and I just want to thank you very much for listening to Chat Club. I really would love if you could share, put some comments out there. I really want to start increasing my listening portfolio, because I think it's important that we share all this stuff. And there's ways for me to make money in this, and I'm not looking to make for money. It does help me in my podcasting, because a lot of the stuff's coming out of my own pocket, and that's fine. I don't mind, because inevitably I'm helping other people, which is good enough for me. But if I do increase this, I might look at donating some of this money down the future. So just be mindful when you're sharing, and if you see someone grieving, or you see someone that could be a part of this, just send them a little message. Say, I listen to this, I really like this, and I really wanted people to start listening and put their comments. I've had a lot of positive feedback on my podcast, and I really appreciate it. Constructive criticism is okay, because I would like to get better. I think every podcast, I'd like to think I'm getting better, but there's always ways to improve your podcast, and always improve in how you deliver your message. Please stay tuned to my upcoming podcast. It's going to include an interview with someone that has dealt with grief personally, losing a child. This should be very impactful. Also, I'm going to talk about a negative workplace, and I'm going to talk about a subject that a lot of people don't like talking about: suicide. Suicide intervention, different parameters around it. They're all in my upcoming podcast. I'm your host, Alan Hilchey. Remember one rule: everybody talks about Chat Club. Talk to you real soon.